Welcome back to the Nikki Clarke Radio Show on wearehotline.net, and I'm so pleased to introduce to you an incredible life coach. Please welcome Caroline Lee to the show. How are you doing, Caroline?
I'm good, Nikki. Thank you.
You're more than welcome. I'm so happy to have you here to share, your pearls of wisdom with us, and I just want to get right to it. Can you tell us how you got started? Tell us a little bit about your beginning.
Well, like many people, I struggled in the beginning. My parents were divorced when I was very young, and so I had split families, and so I grew up feeling an outsider, and my early years shaped my teenage years, and by the time I was 16, I felt very vulnerable and very sort of lost, and that sort of transpired into abusive relationships, unfortunately, and sadly that continued for 16 years. So at 31, I finally realized that there was more that I deserved, and consequently chose to change my life, and I had the hope to change other people's lives. Once I'd had this epiphany that I didn't need to take on this anymore, I wanted to learn how to give back to others and how to help myself. So that's really how I started.
Okay. All right. Yeah, you're someone like us all. We've all gone through some challenges. But sometimes the challenges have to happen for us to, like you said, get to that epiphany, get to that aha moment. Can you think of a time in your life where you really felt the friction, you really felt like, your back was up against the wall, and how you got out of it?
There were so many times that I realized later on, when I first took my first degree, that it was my mindset that was really causing all of this angst to happen to me. And it wasn't until much later I recognized that actually I was attracting these abusive men into my life. And, of course, at the time I didn't know that. Obviously, I'm English, in case you can't tell. So I grew up in England. And I came to Canada as a nanny at 19. And 3 months later, I met abuser number 2. So it didn't matter where I was, the same life was happening. So it wasn't until I was in, like I said, 31, that I realized something was ultimately wrong, and I was the one that was able to change that. And the minute I changed my thoughts about myself and my circumstances, literally I changed my life. And so my focus now is very much about our thoughts and how they do govern and dictate the lives that we live.
Okay. All right. And the part two, when you've gone through trauma, you have to come to a reckoning and to understand that this is what it was, and you take from it and you move on. But you also have to be able to forgive in order to move on. Does that all make sense in terms of how you did things, in terms of like forgiving and, having that part of what you went through, like let go so that you're able to get to that next phase in your life?
Very much so. I remember my best girlfriend, she would carry so much anger towards the abuser, the latest one, in Canada, and I had been done with it. I didn't carry that anger anymore because I recognized that I was at least 50% responsible. Who I was being, the way I was showing up in the world, the way I was showing up for him was causing him to, not to say I was causing him to abuse me, but I recognized I was abusing myself. I just constantly lived with a mindset that I wasn't good enough. And I kept beating myself up internally, thinking if I looked different, if I was more intelligent, if I did different things, that, I would get the love and affection that I was looking for from my, family or my father. I really had sort of a daddy issue. And so I recognized that all that was happening was I was attracting men on the outside who were mirroring what I was doing for myself on the inside.
Right.
And the minute I stopped that and said, no, I deserve more, I'm going to stand up for more for myself, it never happened again. I mean, literally, it happened overnight. And yet I had carried this on for 16 years, 3 different men, 2 different countries. So it wasn't a coincidence, because we all know there's no such thing as a coincidence. I literally just kept attracting the same type of man over and over again.
And the minute you stopped, then did someone special show up?
Yes, me.
Yeah. There you go.
Know what? That special man hasn't shown up yet. I've had, obviously, since 31, I've had other relationships. I have to say that the men I've met since then have been absolutely amazing. Wonderful, wonderful men. I just haven't met the one yet. But the difference between the men I meet now, compared to the men I met before, are night and day. And I have changed and evolved so much that I'm attracting a different man because, like I said, I've shown up for me. It's all about self-love. And really, when I was growing up, I remember hearing about you have to love yourself first, and I honestly didn't know what that meant. I didn't know how you love yourself. What are you talking about?
What are you talking about? Yeah,
it's such a weird concept. I don't understand what you're talking about. I literally remember feeling that and thinking that, So once I started to educate myself, and I'd been to many, many therapists because I'd been an unhappy child. And so literally it was me taking my bachelor's degree at 34 that determined I knew exactly what I'd done and why I'd done it. Not one therapist had helped me.
There you go.
And I've been seeing therapists since I was 5.
5 years old. Okay.
Yes.
So your parents' separation deeply impacted upon you as a child. Yeah.
Very much so. I mean, I was only 18 months. So my parents both remarried, and I had 2 lots of siblings. And I was the oldest child, so I would go visit my father and his new family, and I lived with my mother and her new family, but I didn't really feel connected to anyone. I was like an island unto myself because everybody was between 5 and 11 years younger than me. Okay. So I didn't really connect with anyone.
Understandable, and with the age difference. So you're at a place where you understand where you are. Your self-love is you've embraced it, and you're moving forward beautifully in life. And then you get to this point now, you're a life coach. And what type of people are attracted to you as a life coach?
It's really all about people in pain and suffering, the emotional pain that I went through. I've got a number of different clients who have, it all stems from emotional issues. One gentleman I've been working with for the last number of months, he's got drug and alcohol addiction, and he's been in a number of 5 rehabs and been in AA for 25 years. And he said that I have told him things he's never heard of, and he's had a huge epiphany to the point where his life is unrecognizable from just 5 months ago. And he can't believe it, and nor can anybody else around him. So that's been a huge transformation for both him and I, because I didn't expect it to be that fast and to be that profound, because he was a big mess, when I met him.
Got it, yeah. You helped so many people. Can you think of one particular situation without, getting into too many details because of privacy reasons, someone that you've helped to transform and how it came about?
There's a young woman, she's in her early 40s, had very similar issues to my own feeling very estranged from her father. And she didn't necessarily cope with that very well. You know, we all have different ways of doing it. Usually it gets into some sort of addictive mode. And she couldn't sit through a session with me without crying, to the point where it was debilitating for her. And again, I was able to work with her, and, you know, in a very short time, she's literally been skipping out of the door after an hour. She'll come in and she'll maybe, you know, haven't seen her for a couple of weeks, and things are not the way she'd hoped them to be. And yet, you know, because we've created a foundation and she understands things differently than she ever understood them before, she's able to manage her emotions a lot better and understand what's going on, whereas before she just kept spiraling out of control. So now she knows why she's done that, what the reason is, and she's just been able to manage differently and see things differently and understand that this is not a reflection of who she is, more of, you know, who her father is and what he's capable of or incapable of forgiving her.
Wonderful, wonderful. That's a great story. Tell me, you've transformed so many people, and how many years have you been life coaching? Actually,
I've done it for years, but I kept going back into the career, you know, the typical life, you know. You keep trying to find the man, the white picket fence, and a job, right? So,
there you go.
I had the career at IBM, and I did the regular job, and because I kept thinking I needed to do that, but I would, you know, life coach everyone all the time, especially my boyfriend, for free. And then I just really had to come to terms with the fact that I was just consistently doing it without even trying, and it just kept showing up for me. And I then had to embrace it and say, look, you know, enough is enough. I really have to take this on and be what I'm meant to be. I've been given a talent. People keep telling me I have a gift, and I just have to embrace it and make it my life choice. I don't think it's something I necessarily thought about, other than when I was 31 and said, well, I want to help people. But I don't think I understood it to the degree that it's shown up for me. It just keeps happening, and people keep seeking my advice, and I've seen profound changes in people in such a rapid time. I mean, I have a very good friend of mine who I've known for 20 years, and I've coached her, and before we met, she'd seen somebody for 20 years and didn't reveal the things that her and I have revealed in the last 2 years.
Right.
And that was somebody she saw once a week for 20 years, you know?
Right. Okay. Fantastic. What do you want to see for yourself in the next, say, 5 years? How do you want to expand personally and maybe professionally? What are some things that you still would like to have on your list of things to do?
I love to travel, and with this career, it's not something that you do sitting behind a desk. And to say I just want to do this in Durham, which is where I live, it's too small. I think there's such an opportunity to reach people globally. So really, I want to create a global presence and be able to work with clients all over the world, and then also do retreats and go to other countries and say, you know, I'm doing a retreat in Paris for 3 days, and join me there and do seminars. I do seminars right now, and I'm focusing on, you know, expanding that and reaching a larger audience. I love to speak live at live events, so I'm looking to do that both locally and globally. So that's really where I'm focusing on my business right now.
Wonderful. And we are really excited to have you on the Nikki Clarke TV show in the very, very near future, and so excited to see you, and I know the audience they're going to love you. So I really appreciate you taking the time to spend with us and sharing your story And I know, many doors of opportunities are going to be opening up for you because, you've just been such a blessing for others. So where can people get in contact with you to find out more about what you do or to just be touched by your service?
Well, thank you for that, Nikki. That's a lovely little speech about me, I guess. And the best thing to do is to check out my website. All my contact information is there. So it's CarolineJaneLee.com.
CarolineJLee.com.
Jane. Yeah.
Jane. Jane. JaneLee.com. Okay, that's
yes.
Wonderful.
Caroline
All right.
Jane
And
Lee. Yes.
Very good. And are you on Twitter, Facebook?
Yes, same thing. So my full name is on Twitter. So hashtag Caroline Jane Lee.
Wonderful.
And my Facebook is just Caroline Lee without the Jane.
Got it. Okay. We appreciate your time. Caroline, thank you so much. Keep doing what you're doing, and we look forward to seeing you very soon. You're listening to the Nikki Clarke Radio Show, transforming lives one story at a time, and we want to thank our very special guest, Caroline Jane Lee, for spending the time with us. Thank you so much, Caroline.
Thank you, Nikki.
Okay. Have a good day. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.